Hey guys, Britt here. Welcome to End Times Bible Prophecy. Make sure to hit the subscribe, like, and share buttons. Well, this is yet another sign of the end times. And guys, you're not going to like it. But first, I want to draw your attention to this right here. So tonight, there will be a live stream, a prophecy roundtable on artificial intelligence, technology, and transhumanism. I'll be a part of that along with John Holler, Patrick Wood, and Scott Townsend. That's scheduled for 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're watching this video in the first few hours that it comes out, that's still a future event. You can go watch that live. Or if you're watching this, 7 or 8 hours or so after this video comes out, it will be recorded. It'll be a past event, but it'll still be available here on the live tab of the channel page here on YouTube. And then for those who watch on other platforms, I'll make sure to post the recording as well. You can also, if you miss it, go to the Substack at brittgillette.substack.com. Just click on the interviews tab up top. It's already linked there. Just click the link and you'll be able to watch this, and also watch any other past shows that I've appeared on throughout the year. So back to our topic. This is yet another sign of the end times. And guys, I know you're not going to like it. I don't like it. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this right here from the Australian government. So this is the page for Australia's digital ID system. And as you can see up here at the top, they have this little ribbon celebrating the Digital ID Bill 2024 has passed Parliament. Read more here. Well, I've already clicked that link. That's the page we're on talking about this legislation. So let's read a little bit about this. I'm going to interpret some of their language for you because this is put forward as propaganda. It's a puffy press release that they're putting forward in a way that they want it to be viewed. But we're going to look at it as it really should be viewed. So here it says, Digital ID legislation, the Digital ID Bill 2024, together with the Digital ID Transitional and Consequential Provisions Bill 2024, has passed Parliament. These bills will provide individuals with secure, convenient, voluntary, and inclusive ways to verify their identity for use in online transactions with governments and businesses. And let's unpack some of that language, because it can't be both voluntary and inclusive. Words mean things. If it is inclusive, then it must include involuntary. Right? And if there are involuntary, well, then those people who choose not to volunteer are excluded. So it can't be both voluntary and inclusive. So really how we need to interpret this is, well, it might be somewhat secure because anything that's digital that's out there is not completely secure. Well, it'll probably be convenient, maybe, until the government gets you in their crosshairs, and then it will not be convenient. It might be voluntary today, right? They're not lying. It's voluntary today. They're not going to force you today. But at some point, they reserve the right to determine when. Well, it's, you're going to be voluntold, you're going to be required, and you will be included, right? Everybody in Australia, and eventually the whole world, as we'll discuss, we'll all be included. So that's what their language means. But here it says, the Digital ID Bill 2024 will legislate and strengthen a voluntary accreditation scheme. At least they're being truthful there. This is a scheme. They just don't tell us what their intent for it is directly, for digital ID service providers that wish to demonstrate compliance with best practice privacy, security, proofing, and authentication standards. So again, notice they're going out of their way to use all this flowery language to soothe you, to reassure you. Everything's fine. You have nothing to worry about. All these conspiracy theorists that say you're going to have this digital ID and we're going to control every single aspect of your entire life. That you shouldn't listen to those people because this is voluntary, right? And we're going to roll this out to strengthen the voluntary scheme for those who wish to be compliant, right? So here they're talking about the digital ID service providers. Well, if the service providers don't have to be compliant and have authentication standards and best practices, what's the point of the legislation? So it's only for those that wish to demonstrate that? You see where we're going. They're lying, guys. They're lying right off the bat. They're spinning this language in order to make people think, oh, this is totally fine. It's voluntary. It's only for those that wish to demonstrate compliance. They're not going to be forced or required, right? Right? Point number 2, legislate and enable expansion of the Australian government digital ID system for use by the Commonwealth, state and territory governments, and eventually private sector organizations. So what they're saying here is, well, this legislation enables us, because we've got these pesky things like laws and the rule of law and a constitution to deal with. So we've got to, we have to legislate this now. Later, we'll be able to just tell you what you're going to do, right? We're just going to tell you. But right now, unfortunately, we have to go through this legislative process. That's what we just did. It's enabling us to expand this digital ID system from the top-down federal government all the way down to, well, every aspect of your entire life. That includes private organizations, local governments, everybody. And then they talk about, oh, well, in strong privacy and consumer safeguards. Again, the soothing language to make sure that users are protected, right? We're going to strengthen governance arrangements, right? And establish a whole bunch of new bureaucracies. Again, I'm just interpreting what they're saying here. You can read it for yourself. To regulate privacy protections, right? That's what they're regulating, not you. In the end, what they want to do is if you're an Australian citizen, what they're really regulating is you. So this says the bills are expected to receive royal assent in coming weeks, with the act expected to commence by November 2024. After no more than 2 years from commencement, and keep that time frame in mind, we're going to revisit that in just a moment, accredited private businesses will be able to apply to join the Australian government digital ID system, right? So after no more than 2 years, you'll be able to, right? And somewhere around there, well, you'll have to. That's what goes unspoken. We visited this in the past. If you're new to the channel, you probably don't remember some of these stories we've covered in the past where they've said they had one where they injected medication. I don't even know if I can say vaccines on YouTube anymore. Maybe it's safe now. Who knows? But they put these things inside mosquitoes, right? And they said, when the mosquito bites somebody, then the medicine goes in, right? But this is in a controlled lab. We'll never let it out. We don't intend to ever release this. And then a year later, I believe this was CNN, was the media outlet covering this. A year later, same story, and they go, yeah, a whole bunch of these mosquitoes were released into the wild. Right? They go, and you think, did they ever think to go back and interview the people who said, well, we don't intend to do this, right? Well, you said you didn't intend to do. Oh, yeah, well, We didn't intend to then, but then a few months later we said, yeah, let's open it up and release all these, right? And so it's the same thing here. This is the language these people in power use. They say, well, we don't intend to do this. You'll be able to. It's voluntary now, right? Next week, that's a different story, right? So you got to watch this language. They're going to do everything they can to trick you. Guys, this is a trap, and we'll talk about that as well. So it says, read more for a quick summary of the digital ID legislation, and to download the fact sheet, head to the Digital ID Bill Digital Identity. So let's head over there. They've got this other page that answers all these nagging questions like, hey, why do we need digital ID legislation? That's a good question. Okay, well, they're going to tell us why this is so great, right? So it says, as Australians increasingly transact online, our identities are vulnerable in new ways. So increasing, do they mean just continue to? They act as if, online commerce is something new that we haven't all been doing for, a quarter of a century or longer. And how are our identities vulnerable in new ways? I've been transacting online for my entire adult life. I can't think of any way that my identity is more vulnerable today than it was a year ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It's always been vulnerable. There's risk in life, and this legislation isn't going to take it away. What it's going to do is take away freedom and liberty. It says, recent cyber incidents have highlighted the need for a secure, voluntary, convenient, and inclusive way to verify our ID online. Again, voluntary and inclusive can't be both, right? If you're one of the ones that chooses not to volunteer, well, you're excluded, right? So it can't be both. And to reuse our digital ID to access other services we have confidence and trust in. It's like they took all these keywords, confidence, trust, strengthen, all these people will love these things. It'll make them feel good, right? So if I have confidence and trust, why do I need this extra legislation? If I've already got confidence and trust in these services, what's the issue? So we go on, they're going to tell me what some of those benefits are. Oh, here are the benefits of the legislation. For Australians, it means safe, secure, convenient, reusable way to prove who they are online, having access to more services and businesses from the comfort of their home at a time that suits them. Yeah, that sort of sounds like the internet, right? Which, again, we've all been using for well over a quarter of a century at this point. I've been buying stuff off of Amazon from the comfort of my home at a time that suits me, getting businesses and services for, again, my entire adult life with no digital ID legislation. And you know what? Things are just turned out just fine. So again, this is a trick. It's a Trojan horse to steal our freedom and liberty. And of course, we always talk about go down to the bottom of the story. In this case, it's the bottom of their press release. What? Civil penalties and certain enforcement powers? I thought all of this was voluntary, safe, secure, inclusive, everything's wonderful, trust and confidence, right? Well, let's see what they have to say here. The bill provides for civil penalties and certain enforcement powers for the regulator to help promote compliance, right? Whose compliance? Well, yours, right? The bill will give the regulator a calibrated set of powers ranging from the power to request information, giving remedial directions. We might call those commands, right? Issuing enforceable undertakings before suspending or revoking an entity's accreditation or participation in the Australian government digital ID service. So here they would, the critics would say, well, what they're talking about here is, these corporations that are put in charge of overseeing these IDs, and or the corporations that are in charge of dealing with you online, and they're held to a high standard, right? And this government regulator is going to make sure that they comply with that standard. But at the end, there are no corporations, there's just people. And what they're doing here is they're giving power to government to control. Yet again, and this is going to cover every aspect of life. Let's take a look at the homepage for the same website. Again, they're trying to trick you. We have this guy here. He's looking at a device. He's smiling. He's happy. It's, a sunny day. Even though he's indoors, you can see the sun coming in. Everything's wonderful. And it says, your digital ID makes accessing government services online simpler, safer, and more secure. Right? So, how? Right? I've had a pretty easy time accessing my online services, again, for my entire adult life without a digital ID. Well, it's secure, it's convenient, and if you saw one of our videos last week, we talked about the biometric payments that they're rolling out at some fast food places, because if you pull out an app, or like your Apple ID Pay, or don't even think about a credit card or cash or anything like that, those take so long to transact. But if you scan your face or your retinas, we're talking 2-3 seconds max. Whereas if you use one of those apps, it's like 20 seconds, or a credit card, you tap a credit card, 20 seconds. That's 17 seconds of wasted life that you can get back through the convenience of going digital ID, biometric payments, giving up all of your privacy, all of your freedom, all of your liberty, and letting the government know everything about every aspect of your life and control it. But guys, you get to save 17 seconds when you buy a hamburger. So it's worth it, right? And here they say, your digital ID helps you verify who you are when you want to access government services online. That's right. So I've made a choice. I want to do this, and it'll help me verify. But then, hey, wait. It says here, set it up once and then reuse it whenever you're asked to provide who you are. I thought it was when I want to, but they're telling me they're going to ask for me to prove who I am, which would mean that if I want to access the government services, they're going to, require me to prove who I am, which I guess it's voluntary that I could not access the services. Do you see where this is? You see where this is going? This is a trap, guys, and it's not just Australia where we see this. Let's contrast what we've just looked at with what's going on in Europe. So this is from the European Commission, a press release they put out last week. Special thanks to John Holler, who forwarded this to me. All of this went into effect last Monday. We've talked about this in the past, but again, this is a press release from last week where they're talking about what all of this means. It says entry into force. Notice how we went from the language of voluntary, secure, safe, confidence, trust, strength to force. Entry into force of digital identity regulation. It says the rules on establishing a European digital identity entered into force on Monday. They'll pave the way for all EU citizens and residents to benefit from a personal European digital identity wallet in 2026, whether you like it or not. That's the unwritten part right there. Again, I'll help interpret this stuff for you. You're going to benefit whether you like it or not because it's gone into force, right? They say the European Digital Identity Wallet will consist of a mobile app issued in each member state. It will allow allow EU citizens and residents to identify online in full security to access public and private online services all over Europe. So it's going to allow you, they won't require it right now, right? But soon they'll enforce it, right? It says Margrethe Vestager, Executive Vice President for a Europe Fit for the Digital Age, said, "Today marks an important step in the development of the EU Digital Identity Wallet. About 2 years from now," wait, didn't we just read that in, Australia said the same thing, right? About 2 years from now, every European will be able to, right? Not be forced, but maybe be forced, to safely manage personal digital documents and access public and private online services. Okay, so time out. I've long been able to manage personal digital documents and access public and private online services for years. Again, why do I need a digital ID to do that? And then it says, with full control of personal data from a personal mobile app offered on a voluntary basis to all European citizens and residents. And again, the lie is clear as day. This is clearly propaganda, guys. You can't have something on a mobile app and have full control over it. No one has full control of their personal data when they have it on a device interacting with other devices. Now, this could be true in theory if, like, you had the data in a vault buried under your house, then you would have full control. But guys, the governments, the corporations, they already have access to much of this data. They already have all your personal data. They've long had that. That's warehoused. What they want is they want to know what you're doing second by second, minute by minute. What are the transactions you're making? Who are you transacting with? They want even more. They want to know everything. And so, yes, they may offer it on a voluntary basis, right? Just going to offer it on a voluntary basis, and then it will be required. And we'll have a future headline that says entry into force of requirement for all European citizens and residents. It says Thierry Breton, Commissioner for Internal Markets, said, "The entry into force of the European digital identity rules is a major step toward the EU's 2030 goal of giving European citizens the possibility to use a secure and privacy-preserving digital identity. It will give citizens control over their personal data in the digital world and strengthen," there's that word again, strengthen, Europe's technological sovereignty. Again, citizens are not going to have control over their personal data in a digital world. And this idea, here we go, 2030 again. How many of these organizations are pushing 2030? It's very clear. 2030 is their deadline for you're under lockdown and you're in a cage. That's what 2030 means. Because Australia, it wasn't mentioned in the piece we looked at a moment ago, but Australia has talked about before, all of our banking's going to be digital. We won't have checks. We won't have cash by 2030. And we all know about Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum. And by 2030, well, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, right? You'll be renting it from them. You'll have the possibility of owning nothing and you will own nothing and you will be happy. So it's clear 2030 is the goal. That's the year, the deadline that all these people are driving toward, where they want to lock you in a cage. Have no doubt about it. That's what's coming. That's what they want. It says the EU Digital Identity Wallet will revolutionize digital identification. Every user of the wallet will be able to use online services. Again, I can do that now. I don't have an EU Digital Identity Wallet, but you know what? I can use online services. Share digital documents. I can do that too. such as a mobile driver's license. Not really sure why I need one of those, but, you know, if I had one, I could just, you know, show my phone to the police, I guess, or whoever would need to see the driver's license. Or an e-prescription. Again, guys, you know, I've been sick. I went to the doctor last Thursday. They said you've got bronchitis. They called in within 5 minutes of that diagnosis, they sent an e-prescription to the pharmacy for an antibiotic and a cough medicine. And then I drove to the pharmacy and it was there, right? I didn't have to have an EU digital identity wallet in order to do that. It worked still. Open bank accounts. Wow. Okay. Again, I've been opening bank accounts my whole life. I'm sure you have too. I never needed an EU digital identity wallet to do that. Or make payments in full control of personal data. Again, impossible, right? It's impossible to make payments in full control of personal data, you know, and participate in society. It says the Commission has already invested 46 million euros from the Digital Europe program in 4 large-scale pilots to test the EU digital identity wallet in a range of everyday use cases, including mobile driver's license, e-health payments, education and professional qualifications. A second call for large-scale pilots to support the deployment of the wallets has just been published. Guys, all of these things you can see right here what they're telling you they want to do. Now, they want central bank digital currency, make no doubt about it, but they also want this EU digital identity wallet to be where you house it. And through that, they're going to know every single thing you do every second of the day, whether you're driving, seeing the doctor, getting a prescription, whether somebody sent you $10 for your kid's fundraiser at school. They want to know everything about you. That's what this is all about. It says after entry into force of the new rules, again, here we go to force. I'm sure back before they passed this, they were using all the same flowery language that the Australians were using. Oh, it's voluntary and inclusive and wonderful. And then now that it's passed, they say it's in force, right? The Commission will prepare implementing acts to ensure that all wallets feature the same high level of security and data protection and work seamlessly across the EU. And then they forgot to write so that they can track every aspect of your life. Guys, it's what this is all about. This is what they want to push out. We've talked about this, I don't know how many times, that one of the ways they're going to roll out the central bank digital currency, they get these wallets set up. You get your digital wallet. Maybe if enough people don't volunteer to go get the digital wallet, they say, go claim your digital wallet today. There's 10,000 euros in that digital wallet. You can spend it as soon as you get it. Oh, you still haven't gotten it? There's 15,000 euros in there. And then eventually it'll get to the point where they'll say, okay, you still haven't gotten it? You can't go to the store, right? You're going to lose your job. We saw all of this play out the last 4 years, guys, with something else that they wanted us to do. First, it's all about incentives. They offer the reward, and if the reward isn't sufficient, then the punishment comes out, right? And that's what they're going to do here to push this. No doubt about it. That's what they want. Again, let's take a look at this site right here, the Atlantic Council. No friend of you or me. They want this stuff. And they're looking at it and going, here's our central bank digital currency tracker. Look at this. We're going to roll this out all over the globe. And everywhere you see a color, well, there's some phase of central bank digital currencies coming. And as you can see, there's only a handful of countries that don't have one of these colors right here. So that's their goal. They're pushing this, guys. It is a trap. They want to lure us into this trap because once you walk into it, there is no escape. Once you walk into this system with central bank digital currencies where they can program the currency you're transacting with, your ability to transact in the economy, and we've seen how they can cut this off. We've seen Nigel Farage in the UK, and you've been debanked, and we've seen the Canadian trucker protesters, and, well, we're going to shut down all your bank accounts. We don't like what you're doing. Going and honking your truck horn at us. How dare you do that? We're the elite government officials. So this is what's coming. This will give them the ability to cut you off from society, your very ability to function in society, once this is rolled out, thus giving them complete and total control over every human being on earth. Make no doubt about it. And guys, it shouldn't surprise anybody because who told us about this first? Well, the Bible told us about this first. In the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verses 16 through 17, we read about this. It says, he, this would be the Antichrist and the false prophet, working together. It says, required everyone, great and small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark on the right hand or on the forehead, and no one could buy or sell anything without that mark, which was either the name of the beast or the number representing his name. So guys, here we see the system being built up, being put into place, whether it's biometric payments, central bank digital currencies, digital wallets issued by the government. All of these things form a nice little web, nice little cage that they want to put us inside of. And that system, that infrastructure, that platform they're building right now is indistinguishable in function from what we read about right here in Revelation chapter 13. So as we see these things coming, what we see, an EU digital wallet or an Australian digital ID is not the mark of the beast. However, it is setting the stage for the rollout of the mark of the beast, because what they enable, again, is indistinguishable in function and ability from what we read about right here in Revelation chapter 13. So that tells me we're getting closer and closer to the tribulation period, which is when this will be rolled out. So guys, this is a clear sign of the end times. When we see these types of things taking place, we should be spending every opportunity. We should take advantage of every opportunity we have to share the gospel. That should always be the case. But now more than ever, guys, you need to tell people about the hope you have in Jesus Christ, because who knows how much time we have left here. We see the tribulation period approaching. Jesus said, when you begin to see all these things take place, know that I am near, right at the door. We're seeing these things begin to take place, guys. We're seeing the signs that Jesus and the prophets spoke about. We're seeing them converge all at once here in our time and our generation. And Jesus said, the generation that sees those things will not pass away until I have returned. Guys, Jesus is coming. So remember that. Let that motivate you to go out and preach the gospel to as many people as you can today. So let me know what you think. Maybe you think, hey, Britt, I save 17 seconds buying a hamburger if I get the digital ID. I think that's a fair trade-off. Trading my freedom and liberty and, being ruled over by a global empire, that's worth it. Because those 17 multiple transactions a day, those 17 seconds add up. I might get an extra 6 minutes a day or so. So maybe you think that's worth it. If so, leave your comments below. All comments are welcome. So let me know what you think. And make sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. God willing, I will see you on Friday. Bye. If you want to learn more about the end times and Bible prophecy, make sure to visit my Substack at brittgillette.substack.com. There you'll find my latest videos and articles, as well as notes, where I share the latest news headlines, the articles I'm reading, and the videos I'm watching. Subscribe for free, and each new post on Substack will be sent directly to your email. Just scroll to the bottom of the homepage and hit the subscribe button. As an added bonus, your first welcome email will include a link to a copy of my free ebook, 7 Signs of the End Times. Also, make sure to check out all of my books. Just look up Britt Gillette on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple iBooks, Google Books, Kobo, or anywhere books are sold. Thanks for watching today, and until next time, keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith.